Assalamu alaikum everyone. So today I want to talk about an important topic, as you can see from the title. And I just want to start this video off by mentioning one study. And one time scientists took chimpanzees from a forest and they locked them inside a cage. And when they locked the chimpanzees inside the cage, they invented the habit of masturbation. And this habit was invented because they were locked in cages and they could not explore their nature or pursue things. And that's why, in order to get any pleasure, they had to masturbate. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created this world for you. He created the earth and the heavens and the sky, everything for you. You are the most favored of creations. So this earth is like your playground. You're not restricted to any piece of land on this earth. You're not even restricted to the earth, because we're going to, we went to the moon and everything. So, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions this repeatedly in the Quran. And He also mentions that the earth and the land are signs for you. And there's a saying that the reason a lot of people don't believe in God is because they've never seen the stars. They've never seen the stars without any light pollution. They've never seen the sky at night. And so my question to you is, how can you explore Allah's signs? And how can you explore the kingdom which Allah has given you if you lock yourself up in your cage, which is your home or your city or your neighborhood? How can you go and explore and enlighten yourself if you are stuck at home? So compare yourselves to the chimpanzees. These chimpanzees, they were jerking off in their cages because they could not go out into nature. But you have the ability to go out into nature, but you purposefully lock yourself inside these cages which you made for yourselves. And all of you guys are kings and queens of this earth. With just a simple tool or a friend, you can basically kill any animal on this planet. You can kill anything on this planet. You can overcome any obstacle with some technology. You can climb the highest mountain in the world. You can dive down to the deepest part of the ocean if you wish. If you want to do that, you can do it. So what kind of king does not explore his kingdom? What kind of king does not see what Allah has given to him? You have anywhere in the world you can go to, even if it's just your country, even if you don't have money to travel. And my point isn't even that you should travel, but if you have the mindset of staying at home, then how are you ever going to be enlightened? How are you ever going to see new things? How are you ever going to be in the sunlight? How are you ever going to just be a human being? And Allah has created jinn kind and humankind to worship Him. And what that also means is He created humankind and jinn kind to use their will, their freedom of will, to be more like nature. And what nature does is nature submits to the will of Allah. Anything that happens, it just happens. If something burns, it burns. If a creature dies, it dies. If a creature gets hunted, it gets hunted. Every creature accepts their instincts and the events that happen in their lives. So how can you go and become like nature if you are not in nature? If you don't see what nature is like, how can you become like nature? Another point is that when you are out in nature, you will not have the urge to do anything haram. You will not have the urge to watch anything haram or do anything haram, because you are out with the servants of Allah. Everything is a servant of Allah, right? Because they all submit to Allah. But when you are out with them, your brain, it does not get the thoughts of shaitan, because the shaitan is he's not in his natural environment there. Why would the shaitan be amongst all of the servants of Allah? And you are there, and by the servants of Allah I mean the nature, and you are there with the nature. It's not the natural environment for shaitan to come and whisper inside your ear. And when you are in nature and you are bored, which you will be because you're just doing nothing, when you come back home, everything is put in a new light. It becomes fun to study for exams. It becomes fun to learn things. It becomes fun to read books. And when you're out in nature, you're never gonna come back home with the desire to do something haram. And that seems simple, but it's such a profound statement because it's the solution to almost everything. Any haram thoughts that you have, any desires that you have, they can easily be diminished if you just go out in nature. Going out in nature also has other benefits, like the sunlight, for testosterone. If you're in the sun, which Allah has created, you're getting energy from the sun. You're getting heat from the sun. And that is surely better than being stuck inside a room with air conditioner. You get fresh air. You get to see the creations of Allah. You get to look at something and be like, subhanallah, from the actual amazement you have. For example, one time, I went out to some desert lakes out in the desert. And this was back before I discovered that nature was good for you. I used to just go out in nature because my hobbies were involving nature. And my hobby before was photography of wildlife. So I used to naturally be out in nature. And from a result of that, I had the best grades, I had the best life, I had the best discipline. And half of my days were wasted in nature. And I thought, I'm gonna quit all of this and actually focus on my studies, because if I have double the time for my studies, surely I'll get higher grades. But when I stopped going to nature, my grades were cut in half, even though I was studying double. And the reason for that, which I've concluded now, is that when you're out in nature, you become enlightened, you become disciplined, you become a better human being. Your soul and your heart become stronger. You're put out in situations where you have adrenaline, where your body is just working how it's supposed to work. And so when you come back home, where it's all quiet and safe and cold and optimal, then you feel obliged to study. You feel obliged to do things instead of just sitting down on your phone. So anyway, one time I was out in these desert lakes and I saw these birds which I was trying to photograph, and they were just brown, starlings, just normal birds, and I was photographing them. And I looked to my right, and in my face there was a bright yellow bird. And this was the time when I was starting this as a hobby, and I did not know any of the names or anything. I just saw that's a nice bird, let me photograph it. And when I looked to my right and I saw this bird, just out of pure amazement of the creature, I said, subhanallah. And that is a milestone in your life, for you to look at something and say subhanallah because of its beauty. And ever since then, it developed until now. Any bird that you show me, I know the name of it. And some people think that's weird, obviously. Even I used to think that's weird. But then after a while, you get to know that now you are getting to know the creations of Allah. When you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you say subhanallah, you think of all of these beautiful creatures you just saw. Insects, birds, mammals, everything. And that just increases you as a human being. It fills you with experience and wisdom and everything. Another time, I was out camping in the desert for photography. I wanted to photograph the stars. And just a few days before that, I'm pretty sure there was a video that said one of the reasons why a lot of people don't believe in God is that they've never seen the stars. So I said, okay, let's try. So the Isha prayer went off on my phone. So I did the tayammum in the sand, which is like the wudu without water. And I prayed Isha. And as I was praying, I glanced up for a second. And I just saw this white glitter on the sky. And I could see little shades of blue and pink and red and everything all over the sky, because I could see the Milky Way in front of me. And I just broke down in tears because it's so beautiful. And really, when you see something so profoundly beautiful, which your body can't even process, like as what is this? You don't even know what it is. Even if you know what the stars are and space and everything, when you look at it for a second, you just don't know what it is, and you just think it's so beautiful. Then you come to the conclusion where there must not be a creator except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There must be a God. If I had never seen these stars, then what beauty would I attribute to Allah's creations? What of Allah's creations do I know to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So I saw these stars and I saw how expansive they were, and how it just covered the whole sky, and how even the light from the stars illuminated the sand, because my eyes were used to the dark by this point. And it was just so beautiful. And the last thing I'd like to say is, if you are someone who's trying to be productive, just know that being productive is a trap. When you try your best to be productive, you fail and fail and fail. And it is much better for you to be passionate about what you want to do than to try and be productive, because then naturally you'll be 10 times more productive if you're passionate about it. And in order to be passionate about the most mundane and boring of things is to go out in nature, to reset yourself and to go out in nature. Even if you appoint yourself a third of the time to do what you have to do, you will probably do it more effectively than if you gave yourself 3 times the time if you are out in nature and you enlighten yourself. Because then when you come back home and you say Bismillah and you study, you're just gonna have so much power within you to do it. And I actually don't even know why that's the case. But you're gonna have so much power and you're just gonna get it done. And you're gonna get it done much more willingly than if you were just at home. If you have a lot of time on your hands, you're gonna go on your phone, you're gonna eat a lot, you're gonna do a bunch of things, and by the end of the day, you're gonna have the illusion that you had a lot of time, but by the end of the day, you're gonna realize you had no time and you barely got anything done. But when you went out 4 hours in the morning to nature, and then you came back, and then you had a few hours to study before you had to go out and do something else, you're gonna study very effectively. So yeah, if you are watching this video and the things I've said, have related to your issues, then just try going out to nature. Even if it's just doing sports outside, even if it's taking a walk, even if it's trying to pursue something like photography out in nature. All of these things will help you so much, and once it happens, you're never gonna go back.